Thank you. As we continue today, I'm wondering if the minister has brought in the information I was requesting about the honeybee industry.
Minister.
Thank you, Chair. As a matter of fact, I believe I have. If it's to the member's pleasure, I will read an abbreviated version of each question and the answers that we have for each. And if there is a question that we have missed or you need clarity at the end, you can recanvass those. Thank you. So, in some of these questions we answered yesterday, but we'll make sure we go through this and be as clear as possible. How many bee inspectors does agriculture have? We have 6 bee inspectors, are allocated full-time equivalent hours annually according to the number of beekeepers / colonies and distances of the inspection areas for a total of 1.3 FTE. In addition, we have an individual who administers the legislative beekeeper / apiary registration system and website custodian for a total of 0.7 FTE. Where are the individuals located? If you wish the names, I can give you the names, but I'll give you the individual, or give you the locations. We have one individual who covers Vancouver Island, Gulf Islands, one individual who does Powell River District and Sunshine Coast, one in the Fraser Valley, one in the South Okanagan, one in the West and East Kootenays, and one who covers North Okanagan, Columbia, Thompson, and Caribou region. Question 3 was, why are there no inspectors in the Peace River, Central Okanagan, or the Kootenays? So we've covered that the Central Okanagan has 2 inspectors, one from the South Okanagan and one from the North Okanagan. It is important to remember that the total fruit pollination business of the Okanagan has remained static or even declined because so many fruit orchards have been converted into vineyards and housing developments over the past number of years. We have a long-time apiary inspector for 27 years covering the Kootenays, and because of his retirement plans, we are in the midst of appointing an excellent replacement. The Peace River used to be the most important honey-producing area in British Columbia, with as many as 20,000 colonies in the 70s and 80s, back when I was in elementary school. However, since then, the weakening of honey prices, increased operating costs, and higher colony mortality has led to a decline of colonies to less than 5,000. Even during the last years that the apiculture program had an inspector in the Peace, most of the large commercial beekeepers didn't need or wish to access the ministry's extension services. There was only an incidental requirement for inspection for the purpose of obtaining a Bee Act permit, which would authorize the beekeepers to ship their colonies to other provinces or other parts of the province. Clearly, from a management perspective, we correctly concluded that a dedicated apiary inspector for the Peace could not be justified regardless of program resource availability. Question 4 you asked, are bee inspectors doing winter studies? Apiary inspectors are hired on a part-time basis, seasonal basis, and work on an as and when system according to the service requests made by the beekeepers in their inspection areas. The ministry offers an excellent beginner beekeeping course that will be explained what bees do during the winters, and disturbing the bees during the winter will harm them in many cases. Where are statistics in regards to the apiary industry being held? We compile production statistics every year and post them when we can on our website, which I'm sure you have access to, but if you wish a link to the website, please let me know and I will give that to you later. We also compile inspection data about bee diseases and pests that were reported during the beekeeping season. When we can, we also post this information on the website. Now, that question 6 you asked, where are those diseased bees and bee combs being sent, and where can we get that information? When colonies are found with disease, the inspector advises the beekeeper what and how to control the pest, depending on the nature of the pest and severity of the infestation or infection. Depending on the disease, samples may be taken for further laboratory analysis. In extreme cases, the inspector will order the destruction of the affected equipment through burning or burial. But they've asked me to please remind that please note the beekeepers have never paid for receiving government-supported inspection visits, and neither do they pay for any laboratory diagnostics that may be applied to submitted samples. BC Agriculture is the only province in Canada that offers a full range of diagnostic services to its beekeepers, including DNA, RNA analysis through the PCR, which is at no cost to the beekeepers. Question 7. Why aren't agri-stability funds available to beekeepers in British Columbia? The agri-stability program is available to BC beekeepers, but many have made a business decision not to enroll. And I think that covered the questions that you asked. And if you would like, I will, when we leave these chambers, I will leave you the copy of the words I just gave you. By the course, are in Hansard. Thank you.
Member.
Thank you. So it seems as though the Ministry of Agriculture is kind of getting out of the business of the BCB business. the decline in the beehives and bee colonies in the Peace River area would be something that I would be concerned about, because that would mean that most of the beekeeping is probably done across the border in Alberta. And why is the ministry not supporting a resurgence of the beekeeping in that area?
Minister.
Remind the member opposite, I did read the statement that the beekeepers didn't need or wish to access the ministry's extension services. I'm sure if they felt that with support of the Ministry of Agriculture, their industry could have grown, they would have been making those asks made. And if the member opposite is aware of individuals who are needing assistance but are unaware or unable to access our extension services, to please make sure either they contact my offices directly, or through her, she can pass on that information to the ministry.
Member.
That actually wasn't the answer I was looking for. I'm wondering why the Ministry of Agriculture, the Minister of Agriculture, isn't fighting to bring the strength of that region back.
Minister.
You know, I'm very proud that this province has over 225 land-based commodities. They are private enterprises, and as such, when we have the ability to support them, we try to. But as well, it's important that they reach out and ask for the services if they think it will help grow their business case.
Member.
Is the beekeeping industry or the honey industry covered in the BC Agri-Foods plan?
Minister.
Well, thank you very much, Chair. You know, one of the problems and one of the great advantages of producing this document, especially the actual print or the online version, is we do believe we actually hit very good targets, because in our conversations with sectors, though the member opposite says different, we got very positive feedback. One of the problems we did know is, because we have the 225 base commodities, land, and the 100 species of fish we harvest in the oceans, we didn't really wish to come across, when at all possible, of not picking winners and losers in this document, because every commodity, both in land and in the ocean, is valued to British Columbia. The 21 key areas that we're looking for, we're hoping the bee industry, like every industry, will look through this document and see where there's opportunities for both them to work with us and us to assist them growing their industry. So yes, you might be able to look through the document, and other than finding a picture of some agriculture in the classroom individuals, young students wearing their beekeeper outfit on one of the pages, you will not see a lot of direct reference to honey, but you know, you'll also see the industries in here as well that support them, like for example the tree fruit market in the Okanagan, which is obviously very important and needs a healthy bee sector. But again, it is a private industry, and we look to work with them in partnership to help them grow their industry, and the best thing they can do is continue to have a good relationship and communication with the ministry, to be aware of what we can do for them and what services are out there, and also make relationships with other industry sectors.
The minister references that the beekeeping honey industry is a private industry. Is that different from the other industries referenced in the agri-food strategy?
No.
Member.
So it's my understanding that most agricultural businesses are private businesses. Is that the minister's understanding?
Minister.
Thank you, Chair. So what we would encourage, like we encourage all groups, is if there is a concern in their industry, please, that we'd like them to contact our staff. Our staff are located around the province of British Columbia, in the Peace River, in the Okanagan, on Vancouver Island, in the Fraser Valley, and many places in between, and they are also able to definitely be talked to on the phone. If there's a concern that they wish to have, well, either as an industry or an individual, it's important to contact a staffer and see what support services are available. Yes, they are private, and that's one of the things that is very important about British Columbia. We have great entrepreneurs in this province, some with very large, complex operations, some are very fledgling and starting out on very small acreages and just want to farm the lifestyle, but also those who wish to grow their sector into a full-time farming venture. So it's nice to know we have that complete spectrum of agriculture industry in this province.
So the comments and the reference to the honeybee industry being private industry is basically irrelevant, since they all are. But this is my, my question. The BC Agri-Food Strategy for Growth, which is an agriculture plan for British Columbia, has actually left out one of the key parts of agriculture, which is pollination. Is that correct?
Minister.
It's funny, when we had our consultation with the sectors right before we released it, one of the criticisms of the document mostly was around how come their product was not featured more prominently in the document. You know, I think it's fairly obvious to most individuals, and I know the Ministry of Agriculture staff from maybe one of the junior ranks all the way up to the Deputy Minister knows how important the pollination services are to BC agriculture. But the reality is we weren't all able to get all 225 sector commodities into here. It would have been a document that would have been extensively longer. And I do also apologize to the garlic industry because I believe there's no picture nor mention of garlic as well.
Well, I sense that that answer is somewhat sarcastic, but I'm going to move past it. I think that leaving the BC honeybee industry out of agri-foods document is quite surprising and means to me that this is not so much agri-food strategy for growth plan for British Columbia, but a glossy pamphlet with a large picture of the Premier and the Minister of Agriculture. So anyway, if the Minister does have a commitment to the honeybee industry, if somebody from the honeybee industry was to call the ministry up, does the ministry have any discretionary funds to help this industry? And if so, where would I be able to find that?
Minister.
If anybody has any specific questions, if you wish to call the office, by all means, or if you yourself have one in particular, we could address, but it's quite a range of permutations of potential answers for this one.
Member.
How much money is in the budget for honeybee industry?
The agriculture budget or the agri-food strategy?
Member.
How much money is the Minister of Agriculture committing to the honeybee industry? Yesterday, the answer was $300,000, which is the equivalent to the amount that the minister is spending on international marketing. How important is the honeybee industry to the idea of marketing products that take pollination, such as cherries and blueberries?
Minister.
Thank you. And like the member opposite referred to yesterday, yes, we said we spent about $300,000 a year on the honey industry, but we also have, I'm sure the member opposite is aware, an international recognized biennial bee master course, which has been in existence since the 1950s. We offer introductory beekeeping courses at different locations every spring. We also try our best to make sure our apiculture program continues to provide as many services and support to the beekeeping industry as possible. But as well, other things can happen as well that also support the bee industry. For example, opening up the China market for cherries. That's a $10 million increase in dollars coming into the cherry industry in British Columbia because of that market access. Well, every single one of those cherries will need to be to assist in its production. And for that reason, too, it also gives opportunities for beekeepers to grow their businesses in areas like the Okanagan. So there are advantages there as well.
Member.
Was the beekeeping industry invited to the table when designing the BC Agri-Food strategy?
Minister.
Thank you. All staff in the Ministry of Agriculture were involved in the creation of this document, and Paul Van Westorp, the bee specialist in the Fraser Valley office, was definitely part of that. We also made sure we had input from various other groups in the design, including the BCAC. But again, there are a large number of agriculture commodity groups in British Columbia.
Member.
It seems strange that the BC apiarist, the provincial apiarist, would not have pushed for a place in the BC Agri-Food strategy. If somebody were to call up the BC apiarist and ask for help or ask for funding to do a study on honeybee disease, maybe somebody from Vancouver Island who wanted to monitor the disease profile here, would there be any money in the budget for that?
Minister.
Regardless of the industry, and in this case we're talking about the bee industry, when an individual or an organization were to come forward with an ask, we have several options available. Investment Agriculture Foundation is potentially available. There is also opportunities, maybe, perhaps, through going forward. But the reality is, without knowing the ask, it's hard to guess at what the pool of money might be available, if any. However, there's a couple of other issues I'd like to raise. Right now, we are leaving Growing Forward, and we are going into negotiations with the federal government for Growing Forward 2 in the near future. The federal government will be having consultations, hearing input from industries, all industries that wish to partake. And same with the province. And as well, I'm sure many members of the apiary industry are also part of BCAC. And they are obviously the lead organization for all farms in British Columbia. And they do a very good job advocating for their members. So I know I've watched an area that's very dear to the member opposite, the organics. They seem to have actually in the last year seem to be playing a more prominent role in BCAC, which I'm pleased to see. And it's very important that the bee industry, if they're concerned, to contact either BCAC. And again, if they wish to meet with me directly, I'm more than willing, not just to go to them during their AGM and talk to their members, but I'm also more than willing to entertain them in my office here in Victoria when we're in legislative session, or visit them at their convenience as I try to travel around the province and visit the various sectors and regions.
Be my last question on bees. Does the minister know if the disease profile on Vancouver Island has changed over the last year since the quarantine was lifted unexpectedly?
Minister.
The disease profile has not changed according to our bee expert.